week after does look like they're stalling a need to see another Bailey match here. We could have gotten something different. And yeah, the match itself was fine, but it's just a stall tactic. And I'm going to bring this up again about the idea of stalling. I don't know if right now is the best time that they should stall a lot of things. And it does look like they're stalling a lot. This championship is also going to factor into Crown Jewel. And I guess I'll just skip to that segment. So Damian Priest and Finn Balor, they had their match after this. I don't have anything to say about it, to be perfectly honest. It was a fine enough match. I forget what I wrote down on the one thing. Once marketmoment.com, I wrote something like, for a mid-event, mid-card filler match that should have been a main event of Monday Night Raw, this was a good match. Nothing happened in it. The other members of the Judgment Day came out, they interfered, it didn't work, Damian Priest wins. Okay, so I'm kind of hoping that story is done as well, but there is a good chance that they end up deciding to just drag this on a little bit longer too, maybe do some kind of gimmick match or so. If they do, I hope it ends on Raw as opposed to at Crown Jewel, because I don't know at this point if they've got the legs to go 4 weeks until Crown Jewel. Maybe they do 4 more weeks. It's not the hardest thing to book 4 more weeks worth of television, well, 4 more segments of them for television, but they would need a gimmick for sure. Like some kind of, they just did last man standing, so they can't do that. Like some kind of a street fight-ish thing. They would need to establish that over the next 4 weeks. And that could come as simply as, Balor is attacking Damian Priest and he attacks him with chains. And then it becomes, okay, well, now next week, after this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, it's going to be a chains match and whatever. And then I don't know, Priest beats Carlito in a chains match on Raw and you get to see that and then, whatever, move on. But I would be more inclined to hope, at least, that Priest is just done with Balor and he's going to move on to something else. We'll see. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that segment. So going back to the thing about Nia Jax and all, Triple H had a little announcement segment after this. He announced that the attendance was 16,095 or something along those lines. I don't think anybody really cares if I have the right number. It's not there. You'll find it. It was like 16 grand in attendance, and that was the world record in WWE for like an in-ring, or not ring, an in-arena as opposed to stadium. Like the record for sales or something. I forget exactly how he had said that too, but it was something along like, their arena record. And then on top of that this is their 60th sold out show for this year, which I think if you're AEW, you're really like, man, I wish we could get one of those every once in a while. And they then transitioned to a different thing though, because Triple H had a different announcement, which was that at Crown Jewel this year, and it's starting this year because it's supposed to be an annual tradition, is what he's referring to it as, which that in of itself is already like, okay, well, you're putting a lot on this to succeed and to be something the fans really like, and that Crown Jewel will continue for years. It's Saudi Arabia deal will be around for way more than just 1 more year or two. They're going to have a Crown Jewel championship for both the men's division and the women's division. It's going to be the world champions against each other. So Raw's top champion, SmackDown's top champion. And neither of those belts are on the line. It's just this Cruiserweight championship, this Crown Jewel championship. So this is what I like about it. This is what I don't like about it. I think that Crown Jewel is one of those events that they have been trying to figure out what they can do with it going forward. And they've not yet figured out how to really make Crown Jewel feel like it's like appointment viewing, unless you have some kind of a special attraction match, like, it's Brock Lesnar against so-and-so or whatever. But they've tried to do some other things like these little World Cup tournament things. And they've had like I don't remember if it was like the biggest battle royal had happened there, or the greatest something or other, the greatest tag team match. Or, like they do gimmicks like that all the time, and King of the Ring and so on. So this time around, and I guess they're betting on it being the thing going forward, the Crown Jewel champion will be who is the best of the world champions. And it's basically bragging rights, the pay-per-view, and Night of Champions that did the champion versus champion thing, and Survivor Series, which did that whenever it was Raw versus SmackDown, but without any of the Raw versus SmackDown other matches, like the team matches and all. So it's not a bragging rights pay-per-view. At least they haven't announced it yet. Maybe they end up making it the whole thing like that. But it's going to feature those 2 matches. So what I don't like about this to start off, because there's more that I like about it than I don't. The thing that I don't like is I don't like who our current champions are for this setup for the women's division. Because, spoiler alert, Rhea Ripley did not win the championship tonight, so I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But if we went with just these champions, it's Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. I don't know why that match would be booked. But if it's not that, then since titles didn't change hands at this pay-per-view, that means that within the next 4 weeks, we need to have another match between one of those champions on Raw or SmackDown, and they need to lose the championship. And then that needs to set up that person against the other person. So I'm going to kind of put a pin in that and come back and talk about that a little bit later. But the positives that I like about this, Crown Jewel is a show that is struggling to have an identity, and it's not like they necessarily keep around the Super Showdown thing that they used to anymore. They usually, it's like, oh, we're going to do King, Queen of the Ring, Night of Champions. We're going to throw a gimmick on another thing. The other event also needs to have some sort of special attraction. If they really like the Crown Jewel thing, then you already have Crown Jewel figured out. And then you can just say, okay, well, we have to just have one other attraction for, if we're bringing back TLC, we'll do TLC in Saudi Arabia, and that'll be the big thing. Or we're doing Hell in a Cell, and we're going to just have the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. I also like the name. If it's the Crown Jewel Championship, this is the first time that they're establishing that is that. Because the World Cup things that they were doing, that wasn't the Crown Jewel Cup, or the Crown Jewel Greatest Battle Royal or something. It was just whatever it was. And the Crown Jewel Championship now is basically the same as winning the Royal Rumble match, or winning the Money in the Bank match at Money in the Bank. It's the designated name for this idea. Not bragging rights, not Survivor Series, all that. And it makes sense. Crown Jewel. Who is the Crown Jewel of the company? Who is the best of the best? The world champion on Raw, the world champion on SmackDown. I like that they're doing the concept of something that they took away from Survivor Series, because they were doing the Raw versus SmackDown stuff. And I liked that a lot. And I hate that War Games is just a thing. But now, if they're not going to ever put that, I guess, back again with Survivor Series, we never had a chance to do the champion versus champion thing in the last year or two. And 3 years? 2 at least. And the Crown Jewel idea about doing that, okay, cool. I just kind of wish that they would, also do Raw versus SmackDown teams and the mid-card champions and the tag team champions and do all that. I'd rather them do like a bragging rights pay-per-view again and make that a thing where worlds collide, because they still have that name. That was a really good name that they've been sitting on. I still would like that to be the case. And I guess that's the other negative, is not having that. But that would also mean Gunther versus Cody Rhodes. And that's a match that we have been expecting to happen in the past like 2 years or so, ever since the Royal Rumble. So assuming that sticks around, Gunther probably is going to retain over Sami Zayn. I think Gunther is going to beat Cody at Crown Jewel, and that is going to be a way to offset the Royal Rumble for them. And that gives Cody some time to fill in the blank too, and be able to continue his championship going forward. it's not going to be The Rock versus Gunther, and I doubt it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes. So that also propels Gunther's reign a little bit more. And if they want to do Survivor Series is CM Punk versus Gunther, then that is how you delay that a little bit more. Instead of just going 4 weeks from now, it's this big match between those guys or something. Or in the meantime, you can spend those 4 weeks on Monday Night Raw leading up to Crown Jewel, establishing who the next number one contender is for all these people. And that gives the right type of a stall that I like a lot. That's how I would be booking things, at least. So I like that, but I don't like the Nia Jax and Liv Morgan idea. So that means we got to come back to that too. Gunther came out during the segment though, and he had called out Bill Goldberg. I said, not Paul Goldberg. He basically said, when I said that you were my favorite wrestler, I lied. You suck, and I hope that you're a better father than you are a pro wrestler and all. So they're setting up Goldberg versus Gunther, and I don't know if that's something that they have locked in yet on when they'll do that. But since that's not happening at Crown Jewel, then that means that might be what Gunther does at War Games, or that might be what he does at Saturday Night's main event. Assuming they don't announce anything else ahead of time, that already puts him to the Royal Rumble, and that's a great way to get a lot of attention on any of those shows. And then you've got some other people to do other matches in the meantime. You could do the CM Punk feud with Gunther. You could put in. I already beat Damian Priest for it, so I can't really do that, but I might be able to revisit that a little bit. And the Braun Breaker thing had been set up too, so maybe Braun Breaker gets in that one position at some point. But John Cena's going to be a major element of Gunther's title reign going forward, so they have to factor that into whether or not Goldberg goes first before Cena, because Gunther's got to be an opponent for John Cena at some point. And Brock Lesnar too. I know when Brock Lesnar's going to come back around, so maybe one of those things for WrestleMania. If it's Goldberg, that's a little weird for Mania, but maybe it's Goldberg's retirement match. So this was a segment that had a lot going on for it. That is, I guess, like something for like a nerd like me to like project going forward. That's the main like takeaway that I had going on. But I like that segment a bit more than the Damian Priest and Finn Balor match. And Sami Zayn comes out, he attacks Gunther, so that ends up being a fun little button to that segment. We had a little joke backstage. Metro Boomin and other people were talking about like in the skybox. Everybody was partying. They started to smell something bad, so they noticed that meant that Chelsea Green had entered the room because she still smells from being in the dumpster match from last night. So I thought that was a nice little side joke. And we had the women's world championship match where Dominic Mysterio was dangling from a shark cage. That was off to the side. It wasn't above the ring. And that's how they did that element of, what I was saying before, how they got to set that up and Hell in a Cell at the same time. They just kept him off on the side the way that I thought that they would do with the War Games thing and all. And they had him dangling a little bit like around like midway through the entrance. So the match itself, solid fine match. Dominic Mysterio gets out of the shark cage, but he starts dangling because he gets his leg caught. Rhea starts wailing on him with a kendo stick, and that ends up being the thing that mostly distracts her. And then Raquel Rodriguez comes out, and she attacks Rhea Ripley, which means it's actually a disqualification ending. So Liv Morgan retains, but Rhea Ripley wins by DQ. And Raquel turns heel in the process, and it makes a lot of sense. The last time that Raquel had been around, she had her tag team titles with Liv Morgan. They lost them because of Rhea Ripley. That led to a Rhea Ripley feud. And then they basically haven't used her since because for the most part, she ended up having to go away for, I forget the name of the mast cell activation syndrome, I think is what it was. Thankfully, it seems she's better now, or at least better enough to come back. And the heel turn will revitalize her a little bit. That'll be good. Something big for Raquel to, for Rhea to be able to go up against and something different. So it's not just Liv again. But again, we're back to the thing. I don't want to see Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax at Crown Jewel. So does that mean that Rhea Ripley just gets another match for the championship because she won by DQ next week on Raw? Or are they going to just turn around and do that on Monday? Or, how are they going to do that? I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't really love that or not, but I think it's going to happen. I think Rhea is going to win that championship, regardless of Raquel. And then we're going to get Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax at Crown Jewel. So they stalled again, but if it's a week, I don't know if that really makes that much of a difference. If it's 2 weeks, okay. As long as they have that title change chance before Crown Jewel, and it's hopefully not the week before Crown Jewel, then maybe I can see why they're doing this. Still don't think it's the thing I would have done, though. So that led into the main event, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Good match. My major takeaway is, of course, how this ended, where throughout all the distractions of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, they ended up having Jimmy Uso return. And Jimmy Uso's return was enough of a distraction. Roman hits a spear on Solo Sikoa, pins him, they win the match. Afterward, they do a little thing where Jimmy and Roman have now made up. They're like, they're cool with each other again. And they don't really acknowledge Cody 100%, but then Cody gets attacked by the rest of the bloodline. They're all mad. And Jimmy convinces Roman, who doesn't want to come back to the ring and help. He convinces him to do it. So they, kind of cement that babyface turn a little bit more. And they have their little begrudging respect moment. And then The Rock comes out. But he doesn't do anything but count 1, 2, 3, do this kind of a, it's done, and leave. So what does that mean? I don't know. Of course, we know at some point we're going to get Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. But since that can't really happen at the Crown Jewel show because of the whole, champion versus champion thing, that's got to imply that maybe that happens at War Games. And maybe there's like a 3, you have 3, whatever left. Wouldn't be 3 weeks, wouldn't be 3 months. I don't know. But it could be 3 months because, actually, no, 3 months, what I was just counting now, 3 months from now would be January and the Royal Rumble's in February. So it couldn't be the Royal Rumble if they're doing that. I don't know. It wouldn't really make sense to count down 3 to Saturday night's main event unless you got 3 more shows. Like we've got Crown Jewel, War Games, and then the third one, Saturday night's main event. That's when you're going to lose this title. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe it's conspiracy theory and I should put a tinfoil hat on. I don't know. But the basic gist is he's coming after them, or he's just counting 3 people he's going to fuck up or something. I don't know. Having Jimmy Uso back's fun. Match itself is good. The Rock appearance is going to get people talking. Sounds like a solid enough segment for me. So I like the show. I thought that it was a pretty strong B type of pay-per-view. And I think if you missed out on it, then, go back and check out some of the moments. But you're going to see most of the moments on Monday Night Raw. And I think that's still fine. Let me just check again the chat real quick, though, before I round things out. Oh, I see we got some more people saying that. Rating for Bad Blood out of 10. Maybe a 7.5, I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me to do like the 10 ratings. I don't know, a 10 pay-per-view. And then I always feel like a 9 would be like an almost crazy pay-per-view, and then an 8 would be like just strictly better ones. But yeah, I'm always bad when it comes to like remembering exactly what cards are which. Like all my friends that are super into stuff, they'll be like, SummerSlam 07 was one of my favorites. I'm like, I don't remember. Other than like WrestleMania, I don't know, 10 onward to like 14, I could tell you those cards. Yeah, so at 7.5, something like that. Rob returns after creating my Miami Hurricanes, also a football team called Miami Hurricanes. Peter rounding it out. I'm worried about Goldberg beating Gunther to prove me wrong about Bray and Kevin Owens. It could happen. It's crazier things have happened. It's happened exactly with Bill Goldberg coming in at the end there. So I don't know who he would go up against to beat Gunther and then have a bigger match because they've done the Roman thing, and I don't think that they would do that with Cody in any way. But John Cena maybe. Oh, I don't know. but I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna assume that it's Gunther and Cody, and Goldberg maybe is their plan for WrestleMania or something. Yeah, so that's what I thought about Bad Blood. I recommend it overall, and of course, if you disagree with me, totally fine. Drop those comments below and tell me why you think my opinion was wrong. I don't know, love a discussion. But the meantime, I also don't know who won the fantasy league, what the points are for that. So Callum is going to shoot me a message at some point. Probably address it on the hot tags, I'm assuming, if they end up recording something. So stay tuned for that. We're going to WWEFantasyLeague.com, and you can see on there that he'll have some kind of updated scores at some point. Check out the Discord as I mentioned before, all that other marketplace stuff, and in general, just go to amangotree.com and check out all the stuff that I've got up on there. Fanboys Anonymous links or something you can find there, it's Mark Lemon stuff, and everything else. And I think that's it. So I guess the next thing you guys are going to be hearing is going to be from just Rob and Callum, and that'll be most likely either like Wrestle Dream predictions or Wrestle Dream predictions combined with hot tags or something. If they are so inclined to do that, then check them out. Show them so much support, and whenever it is that we pop up next, I'll see you then. But for now, it's going to do the end, and that's going to end the show. Adios, everybody. This has been another Smart Out moment, and I'm being counted out.